Hey everyone, Sean McQueen here, 7 weeks post shoulder arthrosurface surgery with another update. So I left off in the last video right around week 5, and a lot has occurred in these 2 weeks here. Where I left off right around week 5, in week 6, I noticed mentally I started to get into a real mental low, a mental rut, feelings of like depression, just a tough place mentally, with the body. And obviously, if anybody has experienced any sort of injury or losing ability or function and all the stuff that kind of comes along with that, how it impacts you, the human, what you do, how you can show up, in all aspects of your life, it's certainly challenging, and especially, aspects of your own identity and how you know yourself. So I was really struggling with that. And, I was connecting with certain people, trying to communicate about it. A former version of myself would have just really held it inside. And I know that is not the way to, to work through and to work through what you're experiencing. And I was having trouble, what I felt like was really being heard. And, it's very common in this instance of you're going to get it back, you're going to all these things. And I know that. And while I can appreciate that, I don't know, it wasn't helping. And there was one individual, a close friend of mine named Aaron, who had gone through a serious back injury. And when I had vulnerably reached out to her and said, hey, when you experienced your injury, did you ever experience depression? We got into a great talk. And she was the first person who I really felt like got it. And really was just connecting with me on the level that I really feel like I needed to be heard and connect on. So, my goodness, if you're watching this video and you're in a similar boat or any boat of a mental health challenge, if I could plant one seed of just not stopping being relentless in finding if it is that person, if you have to go through a bunch like I felt like I did, it's helpful to talk about it. Okay, so I had experienced that, and that kind of put me into a dip mentally. But I was committed to my rehab and my exercises. I wasn't missing a morning, afternoon, or an evening because we're getting it. I do want to highlight, I had a mistake in a mentality around my rehab. I foolishly thought that when I had got this procedure done and you fix a lot of the stuff that was wrong with the shoulder. With all the rehab you're doing, you're gonna go back to that range and quickly. And it was a race to get back there quickly, was my thinking. And I think I was getting frustrated in those weeks as well with seeing little, if any, progress in my rehabilitation, how I was feeling. And it wasn't until I watched a video with a doctor talking about actually wanting shoulder stiffness, and those who have an incision or have some form of rotator cuff surgery and then who gain that range back rather quickly, that actually has shown to be more susceptible to tearing again. And it was just educating myself. So again, another nod here to be your own advocate and to learn more, and just keep finding things that can help empower and educate you. So that was helpful for me. And I even brought that to my doctor when we met in week 6 as well. A few days later, right before I saw my doctor, I had gotten body work done. And if you can, anywhere in your recovery journey, I think this is a great, if you can find a really great person, man. I have a great human in my corner here who is so well versed, amazing at what he does with the tools and just the knowledge of body. So he the first time I'd seen him since the surgery. We did a lot of work together before the surgery, and so we caught up. And I had let him know that my physical therapist had noticed, I'm, certain things. Obviously, my lat is tight. My posterior delt, and he's very obviously in tune with my body as well. So he started with Graston, which is it's like a safe, edged blade that you put lotion on the body, and it helps break up the scar tissue. And he had noticed like the pec was pretty good, had, felt pretty good on that side, but right outside of the incision, which actually I should show you guys the incision, it was right up here in the deltoid area, was like night and day difference. And I thought that was interesting. And how also external rotation, which that part of the shoulder plays a part in, is also my hardest and most uncomfortable movement within rehab at the moment. So just all interesting to get that sort of information. Worked on my lat, my subscap deep in my armpit. Did some cupping. He worked on the incision area a little bit, scraped it, and then maybe within 90 seconds or a minute was like, hey, I'm going to hold off here. I don't think this is healed all the way. I'm getting, a really strong response, so I'm going to hold off for a couple more weeks, which I thought was really, really intelligent on his part and helpful. And that'll kind of coincide with a couple of days later what comes next and some thoughts. So body work was great, and that helps break up a lot of tight stuff around the area itself. That same day I went to, a few hours later, I went to physical therapy, and then I just got stretched. So it was amazing to get a lot of the gunk broken up and then stretched in those positions. And really just a powerful combo to put together. It was right around this time, week 6, where sleeping on the couch began to catch up to me. I started there because obviously I had to be upright and in the sling, and then I've kind of just have stayed there due to my living situation. And I can sleep, flat. The couch isn't the most comfortable, to sleep on. The bed situation isn't sometimes available. So it started to catch up to me. And it was on a particular night that, man, I got terrible sleep. I was up. I only got like 3-4 hours of sleep, and that wreaked havoc on how I felt the next day in terms of just my body hurting, my body aches, weak, tired. And what was unique is this poor sleep became reoccurring from that night forward. So the next night, same poor sleep, and then the same feelings of aches and tired and weak, and then like another symptom of like, I kind of feel a little hot. And it was this day that I went to see my doctor, and it was actually when I was on my way to see him, I did not start to feel well. So saw the doc, and the doctor did some rotator cuff testing, said that looked and felt great. He was really happy with the progress there, and that was reassuring for me. Because again, I brought like, I know the rotator cuff heals at a 5% per week, so I'm only really at 30%. He goes, no, you're further along than that, especially only cutting one. I like what I see. It's very strong. And he answered all of my questions, in terms of like, hey, is it normal to be in a mental rut? What are your expectations? And he said, by week 12, when I see you at week 12, that'll be the next time I see him, I should see a large increase in your range of motion. And I was like, okay, that's also good information to kind of know and expectations and kind of connect him and my physical therapist. I asked him, what's most important with physical therapy right now? And he said, it's range before strength. So I want you to really continue to work on getting your range, getting stretched. And he gave me an exercise to add at home in terms of, and which have been really helpful, wall walks with my hand. So walk my hand up the wall till my arm is locked out, and then either drop my head forward to really get the shoulder stretch, or drop my entire body down and hold that. And I wasn't doing that. And when I began doing that, I really felt improvements when I would go to do my flexion stretch after that. So that was really helpful on his part, and it worked well for me. So he was, we had a good discussion, but again, like I mentioned, as I was there and leaving and all that, I noticed like I'm not feeling great. Uh, Coached that night and felt okay, felt good, didn't feel anything off, and it wasn't until the next day that this hit me. So the next morning, I'm coaching a pretty big class for work, and within the class, and it's a 90-minute class, I feel a shift happen within my entire body, and I recognize like I'm not well. Like something's not right with my temperature, with how I feel. You can just feel like, oh, something is really not right here. And I worked hard to still deliver value, not obviously let that affect anyone or anything going on that I was doing. Um, I remember apologizing to the class if they felt, something energetically shift within me. That poor sleep really was I thought catching up to me, but it wasn't until I got home and I took my temperature and it was 103, and I was like, holy crap! That I know that's not good. Um, I was burning up. I was not. It was not good. So that day, this was Saturday, I literally was just bed rest. I could not cool my temperature down. I was laying with a washcloth on my forehead. Um, and this was the first day, bummer. Did rehab in the morning, but I could only commit to doing it once and not 3 times, and broke my streak. However, fever, you know. Um, so was not well. Fever. This rolled into the next day. I wake up, urgent care, shortly in the morning because I'm like, something is just not right. I'm 101, 102. I can't kick this fever. Muscle aches, body aches. I have vertigo or like dizziness. My appetite isn't there. So I went to urgent care. They did a flu test, COVID test, ruled those out. And came back and were like, you have an infection somewhere in your body. Your body's fighting it, and you have a lot of fluid in your ears, and that could be it too. Is like messing with your sinuses as well. So they told me to go get some medicine from a pharmacy and a neti pot to clear out my senses. And I trusted in that, so I did that. And so Sunday bed rest, Monday still bed rest. Unfortunately, I had to miss a really important, impactful day at work, and really gutted me to miss and be a part of something so special. But I knew I was being broken down, like my body was literally breaking down. And I didn't want to bring that energy around people, and I wasn't sure if I was contagious or what was really going on because I still wasn't sure, like, were they right? Because I still wasn't feeling myself, 4 days later, almost, from Friday to Monday now. And I was getting nervous. I was like, man, and this is when I started to think, like, you just had shoulder surgery. Like, is there something going wrong inside your body? You got Graston work. Remember, Dr. Nick was working on your shoulder, and he said, like, oh, he was working on your wound. And then he stopped because he said, I think this is still open. Well, did something get in there? And so my brain just started to like really start to go overdrive. And then like the last thing is I was pulling some ticks off my dog in the past like month. So it's like, is Lyme at play here? You don't know. And so I was really grappling with all the scenarios. So that was just a part of my experience of, when I look at the arc, like I was in a mental rut, week 5 and 6, and then I just had to really get kind of sucked down to the bottom and lose more weight, which was not fun, and just hit a really uncomfortable 3+ days, highly uncomfortable. However, there is a uptick to this roller coaster as well. So obviously, body fights that, come out of that, still coming out of that. And I see my physical therapist a few days later, and I have the best physical therapy session and make the most progress. So this is right before week 7. And I can feel my arm when she's taking it through flexion. I can feel it going farther than it's ever gone, and it not be at like level 8, 9, 10 discomfort. And I was like, whoa, like, we're making such progress. And it was a great session. I have an amazing physical therapist here in Greene County, and she's phenomenal. And I wrote some numbers down that she shared with me. She got me to 163 degrees out of 180 flexion, which was cool. She got me to 165 degrees abduction out of 180, also cool. The hardest for me right now, or most uncomfortable for me right now, is my external rotation on my right side. It is like damn near nauseating when she's working on me to do that. And we're exploring a lot of routes and options. And I really have to breathe and stay in my breath. But it's some serious work. But this past week, this is week 7, I got to 45 degrees external rotation out of 90 plus, on my own, and she got me to 60 with overpressure. So that's huge. Like, this is week 7, and I'm really proud of the progress that is now showing up. And it's interesting when you think back to the beginning of the video, and I was in 2 weeks ago, I was in a really low place mentally. I couldn't see progress. I couldn't see that this would be coming. To share, so one of my at-home rehab exercises is called side lying shoulder flexion. So I lay on my side like a fetal position, and I bring this one, I'm just going to show you my good one, and I kind of bring it in a flexion position while I'm laying on my side. And I remember it was a day or two ago, I was doing it, and I had only got to like here, and I'm doing this on my own, and I'm able to get to like here, and I'm just in my mind exploding. Whoa, this is working. I can see it finally working. And that felt so good. So it's a real testament to obviously trusting the process, from your surgeon to your physical therapist, committing to the rehab process. I missed, even those days I had a fever, when I felt okay, I would sneak in a 10, 12 minute total rehab session. So I didn't get in my 3 morning, afternoon, and evening, but I ended up getting in 1, and 1 is better than nothing. And I had to rationalize that during that time of like really feeling unwell. And I still, a few days later, came back and had an amazing range. Also, I want to share, it's all coming to me. After seeing the doc, so that was today is a Thursday, so this was last Friday I saw him. So it's almost a week since I've seen him, at the end of week 6. I can feel my rotator cuff feeling strong. Like, it feels strong to, support me if I were to be at the top of a push-up. If I were to just do normal things, like, my shoulder feels strong, not invincible strong. Like, I still am aware, like, it's not 100%, but I feel its strength. And whether that's placebo from the doctor being like, hey, this is mostly healed, and or time healing and all that good stuff, it's working. So I'm excited to share those updates with you and be real with the transparency of the roller coaster of the mental ruts and getting sick and breaking down, and the uncomfortable parts of it, and the rehab. It's all a part of it. And it's giving me so many lessons that I don't think I can process, in the moment. I think it will be more of a reflection, in totality. But this is my week 7 backtrack update. Maybe I'll keep it in 2-week increments and really kind of just keep that theme going. I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to sharing the next one with you guys.